Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so happy that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family, and it is a beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to connect with us on social media. Facebook.com/Reading with Your Kids, at Jedley Magic on Twitter, and at Reading with Your Kids on Instagram. We have a wonderful show for you today. Elizabeth Wrage is here to talk about Christmas Kindness Kids. We've been talking about it for a long time now. It's almost here. It's the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, November 23rd and 24th, Navy Pier in Chicago. This is going to be a fantastic event. We are so excited that we are going to have a Reading with Your Kids booth at the fair. It's an amazing fair. It's the largest toy and game fair in North America. And it makes a lot of sense because you're going to have a chance to meet inventors, going to have a chance to meet authors, going to have a chance to play with life-size toys and games. And you're going to get a chance to meet some amazing books that we've had here on the podcast. And also, you're going to have a chance to find out what it's like to be a guest on the podcast. We're going to invite folks to preview some of our wonderful books that we'll have on display, and then come on and record an interview. You'll get a copy of that interview to save forever. And some of those interviews are going to be used on future editions of the show. I can't wait. It's happening November 23rd and 24th on Navy Pier in Chicago. And check it out. If you go to shytag.com and use the promo code RWYK, the Reading with Your Kids initials, you'll have a chance to save $3 on each ticket that you purchase. And there are no limit as to how many tickets you can purchase. It's going to be a great time. Come on and join us. The Chicago Toy and Game Fair, November 23rd and 24th on Navy Pier in Chicago. One of the fantastic books that we will have on display for you to check out and possibly record a review on, it features 6 cranky relatives, 3 mean dinosaurs, and 1 very cranky Tyrannosaurus. That's right, I'm talking about the last surviving dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus, by our friend Stephen Joseph and illustrated by Andy Case. This book tells the tale of how the dinosaurs became extinct, and it's not that life-ending meteor shower that the paleontologists talk about. No, I want to interview some parents, some dads trying to read the Tyrannosaurus. I've been reading it for months and I still have trouble, and that's a lot of the fun in reading this book aloud. The Tyrannosaurus is so cranky that she makes all the other bigger and meaner dinosaurs disappear. That is, until she comes across the only dinosaur who is immune to her incessant complaining, the Tyrannosaurus. These 2 dinosaurs evolved into humans, and that's where cranky people come from. This really is a fun book, and it reminds readers to be mindful of when and how often they complain. And that's a lesson from which all readers, young and old, can benefit. It's the last surviving dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus, written by Stephen Joseph. Check it out at our booth at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, and it's also available on Amazon. And for the families with older kids, you're going to want to check out Lucas and the Game of Chance by Dr. Anthony Manna. It's a fantastic middle grade book. While Lucas is playing his flute at the seawall one day, he befriends a mysterious talking, dancing snake that rewards him with fortune and favor. Some years later, tempted by greed and pride, Lucas loses all his riches and his family. He must now set off on a treacherous journey through a frightening forest filled with suspense and strange creatures to find Destiny, her sea lion, the sun, and her daughter Luna, the moon. This really is a fantastic book, and you're just going to love it. And I would love to have kids come down and check out a chapter or 2 or 3 at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair. Come on and record an interview. Lucas in the Game of Chance is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. It is a fantastic book, and you're going to be able to check it out at our booth at the Chicago Touring Game Fair. Lucas in the Game of Chance is also available on Amazon. Joining us on the line right now from the central part of the state of Illinois. She is the author of Christmas Kndness Kids. Please welcome to the show, Elizabeth Wrage. Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
I'm really excited. We were talking a little bit about how funny, I guess it is, that someone who writes Christmas Kndness Kids has the last name of Rage.
Yes, I agree with you. It doesn't really go along with the joy and happiness that I usually have, but I will say I was a high jumper in college, and I was not married then, but I would have loved to have had the last name Rage when I was going into my competitions for track and field. It would have been a good, intimidating name to have then.
Absolutely, absolutely. Imagine that. And Rage approaches the high jump. That
right.
Would be really cool. Well, you're high jumping. Well, you might still be jumping. Who knows? But we're here today to talk about Christmas Kndness Kids. Let's learn all about the book, please.
All right. Well, I'm excited to share it with you. So the Christmas Kndness Kids is actually a book that I wrote for my two daughters. They're 9 and 6 now, but I wrote it 4 years ago for them. So they were more 2 and 5 at that point. I had looked for a Christmas book that would lead us into the Christmas season. I wanted something that would work from December 1st until December 25th. And there were a lot of options out there for Advent, but there wasn't exactly what I was looking for. And so I decided to write my own book instead of compromising with something that I found. What I was looking for was a book that talked about Christmas from the point of view of celebrating the birth of Jesus, but also talked about doing kind acts or being generous to others. And there is a lot about kindness out in the world, and I'm so thankful that there is. But for us as Christians, we really wanted to focus on showing kindness because God called us to love one another. And so the easiest way for me to find the book for my kids was to write it for them myself. When I wrote it for my girls, I was working full time. And so it was just something that I threw together as a Walgreens picture book for them. I wrote the words and kind of staged some photos for them. But now I only work part-time, and I found space this year to publish the book, not only for us, but for our family and friends. And my goal is really to help get it out across the United States and the world, as I think that there's a place for this book still in the marketplace.
Well, there absolutely is. If we can celebrate Advent, and that's what we're talking about. Christmas is it's become a secular holiday, but its origins were as a Christian holiday, celebrating the birth of Christ, and Advent was preparing ourselves for that. Nowadays, there are so many families that prepare themselves with the elf on the shelf. I even remember like having this little calendar with an elf that you move,
Yep.
from one date to another. But what a perfect way to get ready for the Christmas holiday than to intentionally commit acts of kindness.
Yes, you're exactly right in summarizing that. That's my heart for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's in. I'll be honest with you. That was just the inspiration from the Holy Spirit.
Well, thank you.
It's intentional. We are intending to be. It would be wonderful if every kid is just naturally kind, and we don't even have to think about it. But we're not there yet. We're imperfect, and we're struggling, and that's why we celebrate Christmas. It's why we remember the birth of Christ. It's why we remember Easter and celebrate Easter, is because we understand that we're not there yet, and we need to practice, and we need to be intentional and helping our kids be intentionally kind, especially leading up to Christmas, is, I think it's so wonderful, and it's such a difference than, that nonsense that happens the day after Thanksgiving, which I'm just disgusted with. And all the other things of, what do you want, and make a list and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I would agree with you. I mean, I will say I enjoy shopping the day after Thanksgiving, but I do agree that we get that focus so much on the want,
Mm-hmm.
and the get. And honestly, we even have a focus in giving, but it's to our families and friends specifically because we know they're going to give to us, so we're preparing to give to them. And I really wanted to help my children and other families be on purpose in their giving. I know most Christmas seasons we would talk about, well, maybe we'll throw some money into a donation a bucket, like some coins into Salvation Army, or maybe we'll clear out our toys as we make space for the next round of toys that you're getting for Christmas. But it was more things that helped us. It wasn't necessarily intentional for someone else. And so I just found if we every day take the pause to think of a way to be kind to our family, our neighborhood, and our community, we can look back after 25 days and see the difference that we've made in lives of people that we know, but also in lives of people that we don't know. Mm-hmm. And really, it just helps you humbly come to December 24th and December 25th with what I think is a different posture of gratitude for the gift that we've been given through Jesus coming to the world for us and God's generosity to us. And so I just felt like being on purpose with it meant that my family actually did it. We're pretty good at great ideas, but never executing on them. And so being on purpose with this book, that my kids would wake up every morning. And for us, I had 2 little figurines that I would hide in the house with a note every day. So they eagerly would wake up every morning to go find what the Christmas Kindness kids had suggested for them to do that day. So their excitement and enthusiasm kept me accountable to putting out a new kind idea. And what I love about the book that I've written is I actually took the illustrations from my artist and made a second book called the Kindness Idea Book. And it is a perforated book. It's perforated pages with 30 kindness ideas that you can easily tear out and hide for your own children in your house. So I've even taken the busiest piece of this book off the shoulders of families. All they have to do is pull out a kindness idea, hide it somewhere in their house, or they can look through the book together and just tear it out if they don't want to take the time to hide. But we've really enabled families to know how to be kind throughout the season.
So share with us, are we talking about getting our kids to go out there and build homes for the homeless? Or is
No, we are not talking about them building homes. That's a great question. So one of my suggestions is to give someone a compliment. And I define that a compliment is telling someone nice about somebody else. And I tell them, give someone a compliment today. There's another challenge where I say, say thank you 10 times today. And at supper, share with your family the 10 people that you said thank you to. So there are a lot of activities that don't cost anything. There are other suggestions such as making cookies. So you would make cookies, and so there is a cost a little bit of the supplies you would need to make cookies. But making cookies with your family at Christmas time is just a tradition that most people share anyway. And so what a great thing to make and then have the act of giving to someone else. So there's a little bit of cost sometimes, but there's many suggestions that don't cost anything at all, and they're definitely not as elaborate as building a house.
Well, you're right, and I think what I love about this is that there are a lot of our kids who are very polite, and who naturally say thank you, but I think that this is a great way to help them understand that. There's a reason behind this. There's a reason why their family taught them to be kind and to say thank you and to be polite is because it is a way of being kind and show respect to others. And I love the idea of taking something that we would traditionally do at Christmas anyways and think of it as instead of just a chore and another thing I gotta get home and bake the cookies because they're coming over and I have to do it and everybody expects it, to kind of get families to take all right, let's take a breath and let's go into this, let's make these cookies with love.
Yes, exactly. And it becomes something that the parent hasn't necessarily suggested. If the children think it's coming from the Christmas Kindness kids, it isn't a chore given by their parents. It's something that a lot of kids might see excitedly as something that, the Christmas Kindness kids has asked them to do. And so they may have a little bit more enthusiasm for it than they would if a parent said, for the next 25 days, I'm going to ask you to do something every day. Mm-hmm. So I think for some families, if they need that little extra nudge that comes from outside the mom or dad, this is a tool that they can use still to help show that kindness and generosity.
We talk a lot about the value that families get from spending time reading with their kids here on the podcast. Mm-hmm. What kind of value do you see families getting from practicing kindness together?
Yes, so I think that one of the biggest values is as you are making memories together, you are attaching feelings and emotions to those memories. You can talk about the way that you felt when you were kind to someone else. You can talk about the reaction that that person had when you were kind to them. One of the other suggestions we have are giving towels to a local animal shelter. So you can't necessarily talk about the feelings of the animal when they receive the towel, but I think you can still talk about being kind is more than just being kind to people. It's also being kind to the world around us. And so I think what it does is it just helps open up conversation of feelings, of emotions, of still that generosity. And so it helps your memories be more than just we did this, we did this, we did this. We can say we did this and I felt so happy by it or so excited by it. And I think what you're doing is you're opening up channels for conversation for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the, my wife and I are involved running a ministry to the homeless through our church. And one of our traditions is we host a holiday party for the guests of the shelter every year. And now, we kind of snuck the kids in before they were really old enough to volunteer at the shelter to be part of this. And now that they're adults and they're out on their own, they still find time to come back and to take part of this event with us. And it's, for us, it's not a party. For us, it's sort of it's a lot of work, but it's something that we really look forward to. And it's something we really look forward to doing as a family. And so what a great tradition if you can develop some traditions that you and your family are going to be celebrating for years and years to come. What a beautiful gift.
Yes, thank you. And what a awesome opportunity you provided to your children to see how even at a young age they can make a difference. Their parents might be leading and others might be leading, but them showing up, I'm sure at some point they helped. And that's another thing that I think that this book helps promote is you don't have to have a salary. You don't have to be an adult in order to make a difference in the life of someone. And so I think it empowers children to not only be friendly and kind to their peers, but they can also make a difference in the 85-year-old woman that lives down the street from you. So I think it's giving children tools to see other people and think about how they can help them.
Yeah. And, you use the word empower. And I really think that when we teach our kids to be kind, we are empowering them. As I go around doing my educational magic shows, one of the things I will often do is ask kids what they're thankful for. And on many occasions I've had, and it's usually been teeny tiny kids, will stand up and very proudly say, I am really thankful that I get to help so-and-so. I'm really thankful that I can help my teacher. I can help others. And it's so powerful. And I just love that because I think that when we empower our kids to understand that they can affect other people's lives, then that's what we need to build a better world.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think everyone, no matter what religion you follow, has the opportunity to be kind. And for people who believe in God, I think that when you help your children have opportunities to be kind or see to be kind, they also are able to see the Bible come to life for them some because we were called to love one another. And you can call out in your child, you are doing what Jesus asked you to do to show love to one another. So I think it's just a way for Christian families also to help instill real life experiences to what we're reading in the Bible. But what I love about being kind is you don't have to be a Christian to be kind. There might just be something that you take differently if you are.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to ask you that. So a family that is not Christian but does celebrate and puts up a tree and exchanges gifts. This is something that family can also appreciate?
Yes, absolutely. I think it is. In the book itself, so the book itself is a short, it's only 30 pages story, and it's in a rhyming way. So it's written for children that enjoy, easy to read words that rhyme and tell a cute story together. But the book does talk about, it starts off talking about children that were thinking about what they wanted to receive from Santa. And then, so we do talk about Santa too, but then they realized that Christmas was more than just waiting for their gifts. and that it really was celebrating the birth of Christ. So in the book, it does talk about Christmas as a celebration of Christ. And so for someone that maybe they don't follow the Christian faith, but they're okay exposing their children to a bunch of religions, if they're okay with Christ being in the book, I think that they will find a lot of value in just reading the story where it talks about, so two children, they decided, while we're waiting for our gifts, I think that it would be better to see how else we can help other people. And so it talks about them choosing to be generous to their family and to their neighbors and to their community. And that's something that everyone has the opportunity to do. And it suggests a couple of ways, even in the rhyming story, of how the children show that generosity and kindness to others. So certainly any family can find value in it. And that's the feedback that I've heard from a lot that have bought the book locally, is that they, even in public schools, they said, I think I might still read this to my children. And I act with caution, knowing that we do talk about Christ and God in it. But I think that someone that's reading it to their children, if their child can't read yet, they can choose which pieces they want to use or not use. But I think the children will find the illustrations really captivating and fun to look at. And the message of being kind and showing generosity to others fits for all people.
Yeah.
Another piece that's kind of fun about the book is we've added a little mouse, and he is in the story on every page. There's a lot of books that my children enjoy reading because you're looking for a hidden creature or a hidden word or something on the pages. And while the mouse doesn't hide too much, it is something for little eyes to follow as they're reading the story.
And what a wonderful gift for your kids if they can come out of this holiday season in this exercise of taking part in the Christmas Kindness Kids, and they find that they just love being kind and they incorporate it into their lives the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where can folks find out more about you and about Christmas Kindness Kids?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. So they can go to ChristmasKindnessKids.com, and I have a shop set up there where both the book and then that extra kindness idea book can both be purchased. I also have a downloadable that is the Christmas Kindness Kids that families can print out kind of like a paper doll, and they can use it with their book. A child can hold it while they're reading the book, or it can be a piece that you hide amongst your house. So you can find that on ChristmasKindnessKids.com. It's also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but I will say, as a self-publisher, the system that I've used, it's made it a little bit more challenging to get it onto Amazon than I first hoped. So if you want to ensure that you get the book in time, probably ordering from ChristmasKindnessKids.com is your safest route, but I do have some friends and family that have ordered from the other sites as well.
Now, if they do order from Christmas Kindness Kids, are they able to get an autograph or anything like that?
Yes, they can actually. So it is coming directly from me, and you can drop me a note after you place the order. You can go to contact us and say you've just placed an order and you'd like to have it addressed to a certain child or to a certain family, and I can certainly add that personalization for you as I ship it out from my house.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, you said you wrote this book for your kids, and it's taking you a few years to publish it. Now that it's published and you're out there and you're doing it and you're sharing it with the world, and you're getting all this great feedback, have you caught the author bug? Are there going to be more books in your future?
I absolutely have. It's really interesting. My background is in corn and soybean research. I grew up on a farm, and so agriculture has always been the focus, and I've never given a thought to becoming an author. But it's funny how life, the pathway that you take in life sometimes points you in a different direction. And now that I have published this, I'm certainly looking at my next topics for my next books. I can see the Christmas Kindness Kids going on adventures all year long. I can also see some other books in the works as well. It's really fun talking to people locally. It's unbelievable how many people say, I've always wanted to publish a book. I wish I could publish a book. And just motivating and encouraging others that it's not as difficult as you think it would be. We are so blessed to live in 2019 where technology enables you to do things that 20, 30, 40 years ago you could never do, or you could, but it took a lot more time and diligence to get it done. And so I've certainly caught the bug. I've joined several Facebook groups that are children publishing groups, and I've just learned so much by being a part of that community. And it's just amazing what you've missed out on in the world when it wasn't what your focus was. So the bug is definitely in me, and I can't wait to see what happens over the next few years.
Well, we're really excited about possible future sequels to Christmas Kindness Kids, or maybe some adventures in a cornfield or soybean. I don't know anything about soybeans. But that's really exciting. So I'm really, really happy for you. So, and I want to encourage everybody to check out Christmas Kindness Kids by our guest, Elizabeth Wrage. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being part of our show.
Well, thank you so much for giving me time to share about the Christmas Kindness Kids today.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Joanna Rose. She's going to be talking to us about Cheerful the Angry Chicken. I love it. What a great title. If you are the author of a great children's book with a great title, we would love to have you on the show. Being a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast, it's fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands of people about your fantastic children's book. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the contact button, let us know about your great book. We will let you know the next easy steps. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guest, Elizabeth Wrage. Be sure to check out Christmas Kindness Kids. Want to thank our sponsor, Stephen Joseph, author of The Last Surviving Dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus, and also Anthony Manna, the author of Lucas and the Game of Chance. Come on down to the Chicago Toy and Game Fair and check out both of those books at our booth. I want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan, for all that she does for the show. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.